Commander Cockings and Captain Foley here, yet again for another Trekyards mission briefing, the more relaxed discussion show taking a look at ships in the Star Trek universe, discuss them, theorise, and get audience feedback to help us with the full Trekyards episode further down the line.
This week we have the Galaxy class Refit, or Galaxy X, or Galaxy Dreadnought, as seen in Star Trek Next Generation finale. All good things. That's right, the one with the 3 nacelles and the huge space gun. And fear not, we will of course be doing a full Trekyards episode on this very cool ship in the future. So don't freak out or point out anything we missed, because this is not the full episode. Okay?
We want you to point out stuff that we haven't found, because that's part of the point. You know, help us make the best show possible.
Yeah, I just don't want them to think that we've missed anything, because this is just a discussion show. The full episode will have all of our very informative information.
Like I said, the more relaxed discussion show talking about taking a look at the ship's Star Trek universe, theorise and get audience feedback. That was in the intro. There it is again. Okay, so this ship, with a length of 642 meters, which is the same as the normal Galaxy class, the ship was seen in an alternate timeline when tensions with the Klingon Empire were high and a meaty ship was needed. So the third nacelle, new bridge layout, and of course phaser cannon, which was so powerful it can rip through the Nevar's shields effortlessly. Wow.
A unique ship indeed, and I must say, it is a Dreadnought, and Trekyards fans all know that the TOS Dreadnought is my favorite class of ship, or one of the main ones. And this Dreadnought is, I guess, the great-great-grandson of my Dreadnought, I guess, somehow, maybe, a little, I don't know. Anyway, let's start the show.
So yeah, the first photo is from the episode, and it's the Galaxy Extra zooming in, firing its big cannon. Yeah, that looks pretty menacing, really.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the big cannon, and I'm going to get to that in one of the later pictures, but yeah, let's just move on to the next picture for right now, shall we?
Ouch.
This is, of course, it cutting through the front of the Navarre class.
Never.
Yeah,
I mean, that if you watch the episode, it literally comes in, fires. There's no shield impact. There's no anything. Just rips straight through. That is, I mean, the Nevarre is the, well, maybe not necessarily in that timeline anymore, but this was for us the pinnacle of the Klingon warship. Effortlessly. Wow.
Like a hot knife through butter, baby.
I mean, yeah, the next photo, we can see its damage it's doing. I mean, this is 3 consecutive shots ripping through, and it's not even being stopped. You know, it's not like a phaser, you know, okay, no, it's going all the way through. I mean, it brings into question that in this timeline, why is the Federation so screwed when it comes to the Klingons if they've got this powerful beam that can obviously do some damage? I don't know, but boy, was that an awesome bit of the episode.
Yeah. Moving to the next picture, we see the studio model of this, which is, you see the third nacelle there that they attached to the standard model, and the gun in its few different parts. Yeah, and then the lower right has the hand with the little guns that are located up here.
Yeah.
There. I only have one. My other one broke off, which... like I said, when we get to one of the later pictures, when we talk about the gun specifically, I have a few points to make about these things.
So this is interesting because in TNG they actually had 3 different Enterprise D filming models. The huge one, which is the one we see in the sort of first series, the big, beautiful one, and again in Generations. The 6-footer, which was the more easily usable one, and then the even smaller one. And this is actually the smaller model, which they could modify, and they just added an extra nacelle. That's why it's way more maneuverable in the episode. That's why we see it do some acrobatics, because it's got more maneuverability. But they actually did change the model, and I think this was actually sold. It was going to be sold off, I think, at an auction, but then they just sold off the upgrade parts because they wanted it. But yeah, so they didn't build a new model; they just put on the old one. But yeah. So the next one, this is, well, gives an indication of the size. Now we know how big it is compared to the Galaxy, obviously, but to give you a sense of how much extra bulk it has when you add on these extra parts. I mean, a third nacelle is quite a big thing to add, and it certainly changes the profile from being this elegant to a kind of, well, elegant, kind of meaty ship.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. Was it's not as elegant as the Galaxy class should be. Much more in your face kind of thing. Something you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the ship is built as a warship. Oh, that's interesting. It says Galaxy Class 3 or Galaxy 3 class.
Well, if you look at the Galaxy, it says Galaxy 2 class on the regular one, and it looks like there's a little addition to the top of the engine there, which is interesting. Maybe there was an upgrade just prior to the Dreadnought class upgrade there. That's actually kind of cool.
Or even maybe there was maybe in this fan's idea, because obviously it's a fan extrapolation.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I mean that's a 641, which is not the size we have. Maybe the USS Galaxy was actually a different, slightly different version, and they refitted it slightly for the Enterprise. Because obviously the Galaxy is the prototype, Enterprise is the later on version. So maybe it was a
very good point.
But yeah, Galaxy 3.
All right, well, let's go on to the next picture. This is, of course, from Star Trek Online.
Yes.
Great shot, actually. I love the all the impulse engines.
Yeah, no, Star Trek Online, again, is the online World of Warcraft version, and it's great because they really are obviously fans of Star Trek, of the Prime timeline, and they really included every ship. And so as part of the game, you can just buy a Galaxy Refit, even though it's obviously alternate timeline. And I haven't actually had one myself, even though I've got 3 different Federation versions. Have you ever played with the Galaxy X?
No, I haven't. I've got quite a few Federation ships, but not the Galaxy X.
Yeah, but I've seen it in gameplay, and that cannon is as powerful as you think it is. It's just got a long cooldown, so when you come in, it is, yeah. But no, it's great. It's great to see it live again, because it was only in the show for a small amount of time. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. And the next picture, we got a beautiful profile shot of this ship.
Yeah.
And it actually looks way more elegant than the last profile we had, which was very beefy. This, I think, looks much more streamlined and refined, like it did in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cool, the pinstriping along the warp nacelles there. It's kind of reminiscent of what Andrew Probert was talking about with the pinstriping that they wanted to do on the refit. And there's actually, if you watch that episode, there's pictures of the pinstriping along the nacelles. So,
yeah, this, I'd say, makes it look way more elegant, and it feels more natural, I think.
It feels more Federation.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, honestly, if you were a designer, this could be the next step for the Galaxy. I mean, it's not as well. Is it as radical as the TOS refit? Because that took the space frame and made it look completely different, even though the basic style is the same. This keeps 90% of the ship. It just adds. Is that a more radical refit, would you say, or?
I think it's more lazy refit. I don't know if the refit to the movie era ship was very cost effective. I mean, you had to replace the whole outer hull. You need to redo the
paint job. It's fine.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. So I don't know. I think this might just be more cost-effective way to upgrade a ship.
And we saw it was definitely more powerful. Although I'd like to bring something up actually. So obviously this is not canon in the sense of Prime Timeline, and because we go onto the E, we know that there was never a D refit, and because we see it in Voyage and all these other points, there is no this refit. We know the Nebula class, which is sort of the offshoot of the Galaxy in a sense. It's designed for Galaxy saucer retrieval and science after that. So if this saucer separated, would it be capable of being picked up by the Nebula as well? How cool would that look to have the Nebula class small and bulking in that big cannon at the bottom? I'd like to see that, fans. Get on it.
And it's funny you mentioned saucer separation, so I was just about to mention that. Oh. If you separate the saucer, you have 3 warp engines back here and no warp engine attached to the primary hull, whereas the TOS Dreadnought had the 3rd nacelle on the saucer section, making the saucer section warp capable. This just seems like kind of not as great of an idea. But I think they should have attached it somehow to this saucer section.
I don't see the symmetry working like that, because the TOS refit, it pulls back to the point that they all feel on the same plane. How far would that angle be for it to work?
I know, it would look ridiculous, and I don't think they could figure out a way to do it. That's why they went with this.
Yeah.
But, it's just a flaw as far as the Dreadnought type design goes, I think, because that's why you want that extra nacelle. In case of saucer separation, you have a warp-capable ship still.
I'm pretty sure the reason for this 3rd nacelle is to give that extra power to the cannon, but no, I do see a point, and this is a great shot. So let's move on, though, to this is a front shot, which gives us a different perspective, actually, because we get a real sense of how big not only the cannon is, but those gun emplacements, but also one thing that you may not have noticed in the Galaxy X, actually it's got these extra fins.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting design choice. I don't necessarily know why.
One of mine broke off again.
It's a really strange choice, but it certainly gives it a bit more. I think it works. I know you might necessarily not be a fan, but yeah, it gives it a different shape.
It's one of my pet peeves with this design. It's like It's like Tom Paris adding the fins to the Delta Flyer. Not necessary. They're in space. Doesn't provide any aerodynamic, anything. If anything, would have been cool to do is put guns on the tips of those, like on the saucer section up there. Maybe extra guns would have kind of made more sense than just fins. Why would you put fins on it? Like,
Well,
what is the purpose?
I think one thing I see is that when we talked to Andrew Probert about the design of the D, he wanted to have very organic, oval, soft shapes. So when you look at the D, it's very natural. When you add this, you've got that very rectangle cannon. You've got those two top cannons which point out, obviously, but having the fins gives it a sense of symmetry because the top and a bottom coming out, it changes the feel. It suddenly becomes more jagged.
More organic?
I'd say less organic because suddenly they're not soft edges. It's not this.
No, but organisms in nature have a lot of symmetry. And to have those things on top, on the bottom, to equal them out like fins, right?
By having both, it keeps its organicness. Okay, I get you there.
Yeah.
But we're sort of ignoring the fact that it actually says what's on the ship. And a couple of things, I noticed straight away, and this is kind of strange. If you look at on the top left, those near the bottom, it says secondary navigational deflector edition. Am I right? But the line shows it's going to the cannon.
It does. That's very interesting.
And there's no thing that says cannon. So,
Wow. Well,
fan extrapolation.
I don't know what to say. Let's move on to the next picture, actually, because that is the profile view of the same kind of thing. Now, one of the things that I wanted to point out was this little gun up here. Like I said, my one side is broken off. This has been through a few moves and an ex-wife, so... Also, the tip of the gun is missing. Also, this fin is missing. I just dropped the bottom. Anyway, the addition of those guns seems very primary to me. It doesn't seem like something that would necessarily be done by Starfleet. I don't like them.
This was a time of where you had to beef up ships.
True. It's probably the TNG equivalent of a mega phaser, like we saw on the Miranda.
Well, speaking of, that's a little bit later, but So, we know the Galaxy class has a captain's yacht, and if you don't, it does. It does say captain's yacht on the top left, and it does point to the bottom, but, Stuart, there's a big gun in the way.
I know. Don't get me started on the big gun. That picture's still coming up, and I need to talk about it.
I think this may be not the best fan extrapolation.
And another very interesting point is behind the bridge section there, there's this extra little bit that's added up here.
Yeah, there is.
Which actually looks like a torpedo launcher, but there's nothing pointing to it to tell us what it is. On my model, it looks like it's got two forward-facing torpedo tubes. What do you think?
Yeah, on mine it's got two plus a big section as well.
And that seems kind of scary behind the bridge. Could you imagine launching a torpedo that close to the bridge?
I've actually never seen this area and necessarily clocked it. Huh. Well, I hope there's a picture about that later. And there is. So the next one, look at this shot. This is really nice.
Beautiful.
So this is a render, obviously, an original render. It's not by Tobias, but I actually know what model is being used here, and it's an amazing model. Just look at that. And it really shows you not only how beautiful the D looks, but I think that this works. I think that the added bulk, I don't know, I think it looks good.
Like I said, it looks like everything's stuck on, and it's very.
It is stuck on.
It's very last minute and does not thought out well. I don't think. I'm not a fan of it. What are these things on top of the engines, like? And why didn't?
Well, those are phaser strips.
They are. Oh, they are indeed. Good point. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now you're
welcome.
But why didn't they extend the banners over top of those to add the red lines? Come on, it looks good.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, the one thing that really points out in this one is the aft impulse engines, and not normal ones, the I guess refit ones, which is basically the TOS style. Yeah, those ones. I really like the placement there. I think that gives it. That's going to add a lot of extra juice in terms of movement, because movement is relative, and although this engine's going to be hundreds more tons, having these chunky new impulse, well, I guess there was originally an impulse engine there. Yeah, so by having these two, I think it really gives it this extra bulky sense, and I think that the maneuverability has been increased a dramatic amount with these additions. So I think that works.
Mm-hmm. Because here you can see there's the standard one, and then the two.
I was going to do that with my one, but I want to show off. But let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the original Galaxy class a lot better than this one. I gotta say, I'm just not a fan of this. Sorry.
Okay.
And I love my dreadnoughts. You know that.
Yeah, it's surprising. Right, what's the next one then, Stuart?
All right, so moving right along. Oh, here we go.
Do you like it now?
That's mean looking. I wouldn't want that coming at me. First of all.
And it's firing quantums.
Of course it is. Where though? From where?
Oh no, well, it's a few seconds after it's fired. But this looks professional cinema grade.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where this is from. But yeah, that really gives it a meaty look. And yeah.
Yeah. This is a great shot, great picture. I love it, and it makes the ship look really mean and aggressive. And I still have something to say about that main cannon, but we're not at that picture yet. So
the next photo. Oh, look at this. This is the one I think we were waiting for. This is the side MSD style, but this is the breakdown. I found this one, and I found it a few weeks ago, and I was like, no, I'm taking this. And straight away, a couple of things, and yes, that after section is a torpedo launcher. Photon torpedo, which I think, well, doesn't necessarily make sense.
And those are mega phasers as well. Sorry.
Actually, yeah, I saw this actually on an earlier session. But yeah, mega phasers. They're back, Stuart.
Hey, awesome.
It's ironic because they use the phaser cannon. Anyway, but that's such an interesting idea because I mean, you would want to bulk up the weapon node, and I can see torpedoes working at the top there. I mean, the Miranda has that torpedo launchers at the top. Roll bar. And while this obviously is very dangerous to the bridge, if it was a bit further up, I could see that actually working. And that, imagine if that came in, firing both mega phasers, phaser cannon, torpedoes, you are destroyed.
Bye Borg. That's probably designed to take out one cube in one attack.
Yeah, this is a great photo.
Very great. Actually, it's the silhouette at the bottom. Top silhouette is very interesting to me because it looks exactly the same as a regular Galaxy class ship.
Apart from the extra little nacelles sticking out.
Little bit at the back there, yeah, but
it really gives you a sense of scale. It gives you a sense of this. This cannon. Well, this cannon, I mean, is what 4 decks deep.
At least, yeah.
And that is a full cannon. You can see there's not exactly decks in there. This is a weapon. And that really tells you something. And on the top part, it's actually got cooling fans, or cooling fins, sorry. So it needs to be cooled in space. That's how powerful this is. Wow. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the D, it's the classic D. But yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. And actually, well, I never really considered this. If you look at the bottom one, the shuttle bay, the main shuttle bay, I always thought the shuttle bay as being maybe as deep as the bridge, but it's in this version it's almost to the other end of the saucer. Maybe that's a new addition, or did you think it was that big?
I don't know. I have to go take a look at my blueprints again, but it's an interesting point.
Because I could see this ship needing more shuttles.
One of the things that I find very interesting, actually, now that I just noticed, is the middle warp engine there, the nacelle. The support pylon for it has windows in it.
Yeah, I saw that on a previous one. The whole section, yeah, and the extra bit there had windows on a previous shot. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you give it some level of structure? I don't know what to say.
There's got to be like a chamber going up through there to supply power to the engine. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird that there's that many windows in it.
Yeah, but if you look at the model, that middle pylon is much chunkier than the other pylons. I mean, that's at least twice and a bit the size. So I could see.
On mine, they're about the same, but.
Oh really? Oh, mine it's about twice the size. So I can see it as being a lived-in space. But yeah, I think that this really shows a sense of perspective and just and it makes it feel. To be fair, if you look at the bottom one, it makes it feel more integrated. That's what it feels to me. Yeah. And I just saw something else. Ship complement 940, slightly less. It's got 4 photon torpedo tubes, which is interesting because they've only got 3 locations. Or maybe there's another one. You also got the after one we see against the Borg, the main one, we've got the new one. Maybe there's a new torpedo tube there or something? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it says 4 tubes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 2 tubes in the center module. 1, 2.
Oh, I guess it could be.
And one there, and then the one at the back, same as the original Galaxy class. So
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I mean, mine's got
yeah,
three sort of things, but yeah, okay,
yeah.
cool.
All right, so next picture is an interesting one. I don't know what this is. Probably from Star Trek Online, but it
This
looks good.
is, yeah.
And it's a mirror universe with the yellow paint scheme that Doug Drexler designed for the NX.
So if you guys don't know, the Star Trek, well, obviously the Terran Empire fell, but in Star Trek Online they brought it back because obviously, come on, who doesn't want to fight the Terrans? And they made it, in the same era. So I guess they rebuilt. I guess they have new ships, and all the new ships we know and love have a yellow paint scheme, not the same that we saw from Enterprise or whatever. It's much more, as you see, all around the hull, and this is the way of showing it to the mirror. And my god, I can't imagine how much beefier this version is. Well, they added extra.
Yeah, no kidding. You would assume there'd be more weapons to it. So
Maybe they're double mega cannons.
Jesus, yes, that's what they are.
So the next one was another side shot. Class name Entirety. Entirety?
The Entente. We talk about this in our TOS Dreadnought episode. There was a line of dialogue in the motion picture with the USS Entente or whatever. I get corrected on the pronunciation all the time on the comments, so please just rip into me. The Entente. Anyway, but yes, so it's cool that they kind of gave it that Dreadnought classification. I don't think it is a Dreadnought, though, because the last schematic that we were looking at said heavy cruiser. So
yeah, I just think it was a Galaxy class refit.
Yep.
Maybe a Dreadnought style. But then again, Star Trek doesn't really do Dreadnoughts, so I wouldn't necessarily go that far.
And I noticed a big mistake because you see NCC 1701D on the warp pylon, but it's got the NCC 73-280.
Oh, it's fine.
I know. Anyway, moving to the next one. This is a Venture class Dreadnought, which is a variant that we find in Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
A very cool MSD. I love this one.
Yeah, this is a much more sleek vessel. And if you look at the game, it's much more sleek. It's basically the same, but yeah, it's just... Yeah, I like it. It's
Although, look, in the middle of the ship, the secondary hull, there's like shuttles, 2 decks of shuttles there somewhere.
There is.
Where would those be? Looks like they're inside the middle warp engine. I don't know. That's weird.
Maybe they are?
Maybe that whole center bulk here is a shuttle bay. Although I don't know where the...
not the worst idea in the world. I mean, it's...
I don't know where the doors would be, though.
Well, on my model, there is a little space for doors, so...
Interesting.
And I think one thing you haven't noticed that I want to point out, this ship has 2 warp cores.
Oh, it does indeed.
The primary and the one in the primary hull. Well, that's risky.
I bet you that just feeds just that gun, by the way.
I'm absolutely... And the mega phases, come on, that's a huge power output. Yep. But that's unusual, to say the least.
Very. I mean, I could see if there was... like the TOS Dreadnought with the third nacelle on the primary hull, I can see that making perfect sense. But that's kind of odd, actually.
It's cool though, and yeah. But if you look, look how thin that top bit is. That is a deck and a bit. That is a place to target.
All right, so the next picture. This is the one I want to talk about. All right, cool. So we got this big ass gun in the middle of the thing.
Yes, we do.
I don't like it. It looks very contrived, very popped on. Like you said, what did they do to the captain's yacht? They just covered it up. Look at the registry number. We got to split the registry number now. It's so freaking big.
I never saw that.
I hate that so much. Like, pull it back a little bit so you can have the full registry. It looks like somebody took a phaser rifle model, broke it down, slapped it onto the bottom of the ship model. I don't like it.
I do.
I finally got to my point, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, okay, rant over, but one thing I can see, and it actually says the next photo as well. If you look inside the cannon, there's actually a circular bit of the cannon. So that, I guess, is the housing. There's a phaser cannon inside, which takes us to the next photo, where we can see that in more detail. It's funny how this massive housing, there's this little beam emitter, as it were.
Not too little. I mean, that's pretty big compared to...
But compared to the whole thing, I mean, that's like a sixth of the size, you know. But this is quite a nice shot, actually. Yeah, it's nice.
Makes you wonder if that little bit kind of near the rear of the cannon is actually the deflector they were talking about.
Ah, yeah, actually.
Because it
But
could be.
well, the thing is, that one isn't on my model in the same extent. It's much more subdued in my version, whereas in the previous two, it's
Mine
got
too.
yeah, it's got this big chunky. I think that addition looks kind of cool. Although, look how close it is to torpedo line of sight.
Mhm.
That's risky, and we know that torpedoes they fire out one and then it splits into four. They fire four. Full spread is no longer an option, guys.
Well, it is. They just split it out later, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, different. Warf has to press different buttons. It's
Yes.
fine, but different buttons. Um,
All right. So next picture is, of course, of another version of the Star Trek Online um, Galaxy X, and it's
yeah,
very cool. I love how they take the blue glowing part and kind of extend it along the top of the back there.
yeah. One thing Star Trek Online does is they actually have three or more variants of each part of each of the ships, so you can make a pretty unique feeling version. This is, as you can see, very different feeling, and yet it's still very normal. And it definitely has some different. I mean, if you look at the secondary hull, how it connects to the third cannon, wow, is that sleek? I mean, that links together like it was built for it.
Mhm.
And same with the upper portion. I mean, that this looks like it separates in a completely different way. Or it could do anyway. Um,
Absolutely. I like this a lot better. It's a lot more elegant and refined, I think, than just slapping parts on. But they had that option when they did the Star Trek Online ships. So I think the other, for all good things, it was just kind of a time constraint thing. Let's just make it look different.
well, they're making Generations like a day after, so they had to be quick.
Yeah.
But it's less Star Trekky to me, honestly. It doesn't. This feels like it is 50, 60, 70 years in the future, and they're making a retro, or they're using a classic design. It doesn't feel like it's an evolution of the D. It feels like it's a reinvention, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the next one, now this, well, it's the bridge, and as I mentioned in the intro, they did redesign the bridge. Redesign. They were making Generations, like we said, straight after this. So they were going to modify the bridge anyway, and for Generations, they had those extra panels, control panels to each side, and for this version, they put, well, just different parts, and it really changes the feel of the ship. And I think it's very similar to one we see in the Worf episode Parallels, where there's multiple versions. We see loads of different variations, and I believe they actually made for yesterday's Enterprise. They again had a different variation of the Enterprise D, and they built this section that would cover over the horseshoe in a different way, and they kept that so they could reuse it. And I think this is that just redressed, but it definitely gives it a bulkier feel. Which, I mean, if you think about what the Galaxy Refit is, it's the Galaxy with stuff put on it. This bridge is the Galaxy with stuff put on it. So
I've never been a fan when they mess with the bridge design. I like the Galaxy class bridge. The only time I liked when they messed with it a little bit was in Generations, the movie, with the panels on the side, the consoles on the side of the bridge. I loved that addition. This just, like I said, this goes back to the model. It was contrived and just tacked on, and I hate that so much. And another thing I got to say is I hate the new uniforms. I absolutely despise them. They look so droopy and pajama-y. I just,
so many
I
rants.
like
about
ranting.
it.
I like ranting. I
Yes.
love this show for that. I can get my real opinion out there, not just these are the facts.
And the last photo is another Star Trek Online one, but the actual Galaxy X from Star Trek Online and how they'd represent it, and it looks great.
And this one again is less bulky than some of the other ones we've seen. Very refined. Look at the size of the cannon. It's smaller actually.
It is actually, yeah, yeah. And I think I think they've changed how the neck goes in a little bit to the secondary hull. Like they've modified those shapes a little bit.
And I like it. This I like.
It does feel
Good job.
more proportional. I will give you that.
Yep. It seems more realistic to me. So.
Yeah, and that is the episode. That is the Galaxy X. Wow, that was not what I was expecting when we started out, but it's interesting. A controversial design, at least for the Trekyards team.
For everybody, a lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it.
Yeah, I think it's a very one or the other. So any last thoughts there, Stuart?
Not really.
Anything
I'm a
creative?
huge fan of the Dreadnought. The TOS Dreadnought is my baby. It's beautiful. It leads me into my captain's logs. I mean, Sammy did a great job with that render, but this just doesn't do it for me. It's To sum it up, I've said it a million times during this episode, but it's tacked on, it's contrived, and it's just ugly.
But I like it. And on that note, that's it for another Trekyards mission briefing. A fun ship and while only seen for, I think, less than a minute on screen. But it lives on in Star Trek Online, so you too can use that massive phaser cannon. Enjoy. And so remember, guys, we need your help to keep developing Trekyards. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy our episodes, share them on Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere else you can think of that fans that they might not have heard of us, but you think they would love to know what we do. So yeah, help us out, guys, by sharing us around, and of course let us know what ship you want to see next in the comments below. So from myself and Captain Foley, second star to the right. Bye, guys.
Bye.